first thing my father-in-law did after his company went public was tell my wife to dump me. Divorce him! I'll set you up with someone rich. A broke professor? He's not good enough for you. I must have been crazy to let you marry him. I just smiled. He really had no clue. Last year, when his business was drowning in $30 million of debt, I was the mystery buyer who quietly bought up every single note. If I hadn't stepped in, he'd be on the streets right now. On my phone, there was a voice message from my friend Chloe. I didn't bother playing it. The preview told me everything I needed to know. The front door clicked open. My wife, Scarlett, was home. She kicked off her heels, looking completely wiped out. When she saw me, all I got was a tired, She used to come home all excited, full of stories. Now, nothing but cold silence. Here, have some tea. I poured her a cup. She glanced at it and frowned. Again? I told you I don't like it sweet. My hand froze midair, the cup suddenly feeling heavy. This used to be her favorite. She didn't look at me again, just walked into the bedroom and slammed the door. That bang left the whole house dead quiet. At dinner, we sat across from each other without saying a word. She picked at her food for a bit, then put down her fork. Alex, we need to talk. I looked up at her. I don't think this is working anymore. She wouldn't meet my eyes. We're just going in different directions. My dad's company is back on its feet now. Doing better than ever, actually. And you're still just a college professor, barely making anything. I set down my fork. Said nothing. She finally looked me in the eye. Alex, let's take a break. We both need some space. A break? I looked at her determined face and couldn't help but laugh. Fine. That one word caught her completely off guard. She froze, like she wasn't expecting me to agree so easily. I got up and started clearing the dishes, same as always. Scarlett, I said, my back to her, voice flat, don't regret this. The next day, I went to work like normal. During lunch, Professor Miller was going on about how crazy the housing market was. Alex, you've got it easy. Single, no kids, no stress. He patted my shoulder. Not like us family guys. The pressure's no joke. I smiled but didn't say anything. To everyone here, I was just Alex Reed. Regular background, steady job, married a pretty wife whose family had just gone broke. The classic nice guy who took on someone else's problems. My phone buzzed. A text from Scarlett. Saturday night, dinner at my parents'. Cold. Demanding. I replied, okay. The ambush was set. Saturday came. I showed up at Richard Hayes' mansion carrying a couple bottles of expensive wine. The place used to be so quiet. Now it was packed with people. Richard, my father-in-law, was dressed to the nines, schmoozing with business partners, full of confidence. When he saw me, his smile disappeared. He looked at me like I was something stuck to his shoe. Oh, you're here. Find yourself a seat. He waved toward the most out-of-the-way corner. In the main seating area, some guy I didn't know was sitting there, designer everything, Patek Philippe watch catching the light. And Scarlett was right next to him, smiling and chatting like they'd known each other forever. I'd never seen her like that before, like she belonged to a different world. Alex. My mother-in-law, Eleanor, handed me a glass of water, her voice distant. This is Eric Sterling. His father's a big deal. Just got back from overseas, very accomplished. I nodded and looked at Eric. He was sizing me up too, like I was some cheap knockoff. So, this is Scarlett's husband, Alex Reed, right? He dragged out the words, smirking. Teaching at a college? Wow, that must be really something. He said really something, but his eyes screamed, pathetic. Scarlett looked uncomfortable but didn't say a word to defend me. Dinner was served a ridiculous spread of fancy dishes. Richard sat at the head of the table, all puffed up, and raised his glass. To everyone here, thanks for sticking by me through the tough times. He downed his drink, then his eyes landed on me. And of course, I want to thank certain people who stuck around even when things got rough. He put air quotes around stuck around, and everyone at the table laughed. Eric didn't hold back either. Come on, Richard, be fair. Some people just want a simple life, no ambition, happy to just tag along with their wives. But a woman like Scarlett, now that the Hayes family's on top again, she deserves to fly. Can't have dead weight dragging her down. It was like they'd rehearsed the whole thing. I stayed quiet and just kept eating. To them, my silence meant I was weak. A pushover. Finally, Richard dropped the act. Alex, he looked down at me. Our family's different now. Scarlett's too good for you. I'll give you 200 grand. Divorce her and stay out of her life. $200,000 for 3 years of marriage. I'd paid off 30 million in debt for this guy, and he was offering me 200 grand to disappear. What a joke. Everyone in the room was staring at me, waiting for me to lose it or break down. Eric looked smug, like he'd already won, like Scarlett was already his. I didn't look at Richard. I looked at Scarlett. The whole time she kept her head down like a puppet, like none of this had anything to do with her. Scarlett, I said, is this what you want too? She tensed up. Her shoulders shook a little. Seconds felt like hours. Finally, still not looking at me, she forced out one word. Yes. That one word broke something inside me. I laughed out loud. Great. Just great. I stood up and looked around the room. Richard scowled. What's so funny? 200 grand not enough? Don't get greedy, Alex. No, it's plenty, I said, shaking my head, my smile turning cold. For someone who's about to lose everything again, 200 grand is a lot of money. Richard's face went white. What's that supposed to mean? Are you cursing me? Dad, don't waste your time on him, Scarlett snapped. Alex, what do you want? Do you have to make this ugly? Ugly? I looked at her. It got ugly the second you let him sit here and humiliate me. I nodded toward Eric. I'll sign the divorce papers, I said, the smile gone, my face cold. But not yet. Everyone froze. Eric scoffed. What? You want to drag this out? Let me tell you, Scarlett's gonna be mine. Stalling won't change anything. Here's the thing, I said, slowly adjusting my cuff. We never had a real wedding. That's always been one of Scarlett's regrets. Now that the Hayes family's doing so well, why not throw a big party? Invite everyone we couldn't afford to back then. At that party, we'll announce the divorce. A proper goodbye. A dignified ending. My proposal stunned them. They couldn't figure out what I was up to. To them, this was basically me volunteering to be publicly humiliated. Richard's eyes lit up. He got it. This was a golden opportunity. He'd been looking for a chance to show off his comeback and introduce Eric as Scarlett's new man. If I was setting the stage, why wouldn't he play along? Now that's more like it. Richard slapped his thigh, grinning. Alex, didn't know you had some guts after all. Deal. I'll throw the party and it'll be huge. Eric laughed too, looking at me with pity. Alex, just try not to cry on the big day, okay? Want me to buy you a decent suit? I ignored him and gave Scarlett one last look. Her face showed confusion, maybe a little guilt, but it didn't matter anymore. She chose this path. So in this final act, she'd have to be the star. Over the next few days, Richard went all out planning this divorce party. He booked the penthouse ballroom at the fanciest five-star hotel in the city and sent invitations to every business, big shot, and socialite he knew. Word got around fast. Everyone knew this wasn't just about celebrating the company's comeback. It was a stage to publicly end a mismatched marriage and introduce Scarlett's rich new boyfriend. I'd become a complete joke. Scarlett called me once. She sounded hesitant. Alex, do we really have to do this? I think it's too much. Isn't this what your dad wanted? I said. Silence. Scarlett, there's no going back now. I hung up. Chloe was furious. She tore into me over the phone. Alex, have you lost your mind? You're really walking into their trap? What are you thinking? I just want this to be over, I said calmly. You, she was too mad to speak. Fine, do what you want. I'll be there to watch you sort out this mess. The night of the party, I walked into the fancy ballroom wearing a plain, casual suit. Richard and Eleanor were at the entrance in their designer outfits, greeting guests with big smiles. Scarlett, in an expensive custom gown, was arm in arm with Eric, soaking up congratulations and envious looks from everyone. When Richard saw me, his smile vanished. He rushed over and hissed, "You actually showed up. Remember, you're here to play your part. Don't try anything stupid." Eric walked up too, looked me up and down, and sneered. Alex, in that outfit? You here to serve drinks? Fair warning, only important people here tonight. Better hide in a corner so you don't embarrass the Hayes family. I didn't say anything, just smiled. Scarlett's eyes met mine for a second, then she quickly looked away. I found a quiet corner and watched this ridiculous show unfold. I watched Richard work the room, bragging about how he'd saved his company. I watched Eric act like he owned the place, talking about the Hayes family's grand vision. And I watched Scarlett, the woman I'd loved for 3 years, the woman I thought I'd spend my life with, smiling her brightest in this circus, drifting further and further away from me. Halfway through, the host invited Richard up to give a speech. Under the spotlight, he grabbed the mic, looking like $1,000,000. Good evening, everyone. Tonight is a big night for me. First, my company has risen from the ashes, stronger than ever. The crowd erupted in applause. He soaked it in, then shifted his tone. Second, my daughter Scarlett is saying goodbye to the past and starting a brand new life. He waved Scarlett and Eric up to the stage. They walked up together, arm in arm, and stood beside him. Some people are only good for the hard times, not the good times, Richard said, his eyes landing on me, cold as ice. The Hayes family is sailing forward. We don't need an anchor dragging us down. Every eye in the room turned to me. Some looked sympathetic, most just looked curious, waiting to see me humiliated. I'd become the spare part in this story. Scarlett kept her head down, refusing to look at me. Eric, grinning like he'd already won, wrapped his arm around Scarlett's waist, showing off. Richard cleared his throat, about to announce my divorce and hint at Scarlett's upcoming engagement to Eric. I stood up and walked slowly toward the stage. Everyone froze. The music stopped. Richard's face turned red with rage. He shouted into the mic, "Alex, what the hell are you doing? Get off this stage." I ignored him, walked straight to center stage, and grabbed a microphone from the stunned host. The lights hit me. I could see every shocked face in the crowd. "Slow down, Richard." I smiled a sharp, quiet smile as my voice filled the silent room. After all, isn't this my stage too?